Elon Musk has seen it all: electric cars, reusable rockets, solar roofs, and even tunnels under cities. But what he saw recently left him completely stunned. An African startup unveiled something that no one thought possible: a car that never needs to charge. No plugs, no downtime, no range anxiety. Just endless, clean motion. When the video of this car first surfaced, many thought it was fake. But as engineers and journalists rushed to see it in person, the truth became undeniable. Africa, often underestimated in the global tech scene, has delivered a game changer. This car, sleek, modern, and entirely self-powered, rolls silently through crowded streets, across dusty plains, and even climbs steep hills without ever stopping for a charge. It doesn't even have a visible charging port. Witnesses say Elon Musk's reaction was one of pure disbelief. In private, he reportedly asked, "How did they do it?" But how did they do it? According to insiders, the secret lies in a breakthrough energy harvesting technology, something beyond solar panels or regenerative braking. It seems to tap into energy sources all around us, sources we never thought could power a car. The engineers behind this marvel claim it combines several methods: advanced kinetic energy capture, wireless energy resonance, and a mysterious material that converts ambient heat and light into electricity far more efficiently than any known solar cell. One engineer was quoted saying, "Why charge your car when the whole universe is full of energy?" Videos show the car driving non-stop for days. Across highways, through villages, on dirt roads. Its display shows 100% charge at all times. People have even tried to test it in darkness, underground, and through storms, and still, it keeps going. Naturally, skeptics have raised questions. Is there a hidden battery? A disguised fuel source? But multiple independent inspections have found no signs of trickery. If true, this technology could rewrite the rules of transportation. Imagine no more charging stations, no more fossil fuels, no more expensive batteries. Cars could become as simple and reliable as bicycles. Just get in and go. Elon Musk, who has often encouraged innovation from anywhere in the world, seems intrigued. On X, formerly Twitter, he posted a cryptic response after seeing the demonstration. Interesting. If real, this changes everything. The African team has since invited him to visit their lab. Whether he accepts or not, one thing is certain: the world is watching. The car, currently known only by its codename Infinity One, is just the beginning. The engineers hint at a whole range of vehicles, trucks, buses, even planes that could use the same technology. Some say this is Africa's Tesla moment, a bold, disruptive innovation that challenges the giants of the industry. Others warn that such technology could be dangerous to entrenched interests. After all, if cars no longer need fuel or even electricity, trillion-dollar industries could crumble overnight. But for ordinary people, the idea of a car that never needs charging feels like freedom. No more waiting at stations. No more bills. No more worrying about the grid. Every day, more videos surface: families taking cross-country trips, taxi drivers working around the clock, delivery vans running 24/7, all without plugging in or filling up. The inventors remain somewhat mysterious. They are a small team of scientists, engineers, and dreamers based somewhere in West Africa. They claim their mission isn't just to sell cars, but to prove that Africa can lead the world in innovation. When asked why they revealed the car now, one of them simply said, "The future can't wait anymore." Meanwhile, car companies around the world are scrambling. Industry insiders report emergency meetings at big automakers. Analysts are trying to figure out what this means for electric vehicle investments. And Elon? He continues to watch closely. Some speculate he might try to acquire the technology or partner with the African team. Others believe he sees this as healthy competition, something that could push humanity even further. What's certain is that this story is far from over. More tests are scheduled. International experts are flying in to examine the car. Patents are being filed. And rumors swirl about an even more advanced prototype, one that not only powers itself but can charge other devices wirelessly as it moves. As the world waits for more answers, one question keeps echoing. What else is Africa hiding? The streets of Lagos, Nairobi, and Accra have become the stage for something revolutionary. People gather just to see the car glide by, silent, graceful, unstoppable. Children run after it, shouting with excitement. Elders shake their heads in amazement. And somewhere, behind the tinted windows of a test vehicle, the inventors watch the world react. They smile. Because they know this is just the beginning. And as for Elon, perhaps he smiles too. Because whether it's Tesla, or Infinity One, or something else entirely, progress, after all, is what he's always believed in. But now, the ball is in Africa's court. And the whole world is watching, holding its breath, waiting for what comes next. The African car that never needs charging continues to drive through cities, through deserts, through history. It keeps going. And so does the story. It keeps going. And so does the dream. And it keeps going. And going. And going. The Infinity One keeps gliding through the streets, and the crowd keeps growing. News helicopters hover above, capturing every angle. Hashtags trend worldwide. #Infinity One, #Africa leads, #Elon reacts. Governments start to take notice. The African Union releases an official statement, calling the car a symbol of African ingenuity and a beacon of hope for sustainable development. In Europe, ministers meet to discuss what this means for their EV incentives. In America, senators call for hearings. In Asia, rival automakers intensify their research into similar technologies. But in Africa, something magical is happening. The Infinity One becomes more than just a car, it becomes a movement. Workshops spring up in towns and cities, teaching young people about energy, physics, and engineering. Kids draw pictures of the car in school. Farmers imagine what it would mean for their tractors. Doctors imagine what it would mean for their ambulances. One farmer in Kenya is quoted saying, "With this, we could carry food to market every day, no matter what." Meanwhile, Elon Musk finally agrees to meet the inventors. His jet touches down quietly on a dusty runway somewhere outside Accra. The media isn't allowed inside, but blurry cell phone footage shows Elon shaking hands with the lead engineer, smiling, and then stepping into the Infinity One himself. He sits behind the wheel. He drives. Witnesses say he remained silent for most of the ride, eyes fixed ahead, taking it all in. Then, at the end of the test drive, he steps out, looks at the team, and simply says, "Impressive. Very impressive." The inventors reveal more during this visit. Apparently, the Infinity One's energy harvesting technology is only one part of its magic. The real breakthrough is in its energy conversion efficiency, reportedly 92%, far beyond anything commercially available today. Rumors swirl that Elon offered to invest. Some claim he offered to license the tech. Others say he simply congratulated them and encouraged them to keep it open source, just like he did with Tesla's patents years earlier. As word spreads, more prototypes appear: a pickup truck in South Africa, a minibus in Nigeria, even a motorcycle in Rwanda. All running on the same never-charge technology. Oil companies grow nervous. Stocks tumble. Analysts call it the disruption nobody saw coming. In response, some critics try to discredit the technology. They demand more transparency. They insist on international testing. The inventors agree, inviting scientists from MIT, Oxford, and Tsinghua University to come and inspect. One MIT professor is quoted saying after the inspection, "We didn't think this was possible yet. But here it is." Meanwhile, ordinary people continue to line up just to touch the car. It becomes a kind of pilgrimage, a testament to what humanity can achieve when imagination meets determination. And still, the Infinity One keeps driving. Through mountains. Through rainstorms. Through skepticism and applause. It becomes clear that this is more than just a vehicle. It's a statement. A challenge to the world. A reminder that innovation doesn't belong to Silicon Valley alone, it can come from anywhere. Elon posts again. Competition drives progress. Africa just raised the bar. In the weeks that follow, the African team announces plans to scale production. They promise affordable pricing, saying they want the car to be accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy. Factories begin hiring thousands of workers. Communities buzz with excitement. Hope spreads not just about cars, but about what else might be possible. If a car that never needs charging can come from here, what else can? Newspapers around the globe carry headlines like, "Africa's Electric Revolution." The car that Elon couldn't believe. End of oil? Infinity One says yes. And the car? It keeps going. It cruises through deserts where no charging station could survive. It rolls through snow where batteries would fail. It moves through city traffic, past gas stations, past power lines, past doubt. And still, it keeps going. Some say it's not just a car, it's a vision of the future. A future where humanity no longer fights over energy, no longer worries about scarcity, no longer fears the limits of technology. A future where the impossible becomes possible. And somewhere, in a quiet workshop in Africa, the inventors keep working. They are already thinking about what comes next. A plane? A ship? A home? A whole city powered by this mysterious, self-renewing energy? And Elon? He returns to California, deep in thought, inspired and challenged. He tweets one last time before boarding his jet. Innovation has no borders. The future belongs to the bold. The Infinity One continues its journey unstoppable, silent, and full of promise. And so the story goes on. The car keeps moving. And humanity keeps dreaming. And as long as it drives, so will the dream. And it keeps going. And going. And going. The Infinity One glides down a highway at dawn, its polished body catching the first rays of sunlight. A line of children stands by the roadside, cheering and waving as it passes. Farmers pause their work to watch. Taxi drivers honk in admiration. On screens around the world, live streams of the car rack up millions of views. Comment sections overflow with awe and skepticism in equal measure. "This is the future," writes one viewer. "It's a scam," insists another. But the car keeps going as if to answer both of them without words. In Detroit, the CEOs of America's big three automakers huddle in an emergency meeting. One slams his fist on the table and says, "If Africa can do this, so can we, but we have to act now." In Japan, engineers at Toyota and Honda quietly study every clip of the Infinity One they can find, sketching theories and running simulations. In Germany, executives at Mercedes and BMW debate whether to collaborate with the African team or compete head-on. And in Silicon Valley, whispers emerge of other tech billionaires planning visits to Africa to see the Infinity One with their own eyes. But in Africa, things are different. This isn't just business. This is personal. This is pride. This is history. At a packed press conference in Lagos, one of the lead engineers steps to the microphone. He wears a simple shirt, no tie, no suit. But his presence commands the room. "We didn't build this to impress the world," he says, looking into the cameras. "We built it because we were tired of waiting for the world to come save us. We decided to save ourselves." The crowd erupts in applause. Another inventor, a young woman barely out of her 20s, adds, "For too long, Africa has been seen as the last in line. But today, we lead. And tomorrow, we fly." And then, she smiles knowingly, almost as if hinting at something bigger on the horizon. Later that evening, Elon Musk posts a new tweet. "Excited to see what comes after Infinity One. Keep pushing." Speculation runs wild. What could come after a car that never charges? Days later, the inventors drop a bombshell. They unveil Infinity 2, a small aircraft. Powered by the same mysterious black leaf technology, the plane lifts off from an improvised runway, circles the crowd, and lands smoothly. No noise, no fuel, no emissions. The crowd gasps. One elder in the audience whispers, "First the ground. Now the sky. Next, the stars." And indeed, rumors swirl that the team is already in talks with space agencies discussing whether the technology could work in orbit. Meanwhile, everyday lives begin to transform. Taxi drivers no longer worry about rising fuel costs. Delivery drivers triple their earnings because their vehicles never stop. Emergency services reach people faster than ever before. Rural farmers now bring fresh produce to market without paying for gas or electricity. And still, the Infinity One keeps going. One journalist embeds himself with the inventors and reports that the team lives simply. They work late into the night, often eating together in the same workshop where the car was born. "We still don't know its limits," one inventor admits quietly. "We haven't yet found a place where it stops." In cities around the globe, protests erupt, oil workers worried about their jobs, charging station companies fearing bankruptcy. But at the same time, hope rises. Renewable energy advocates flood social media with hashtags like #NoMoreCharging, #EnergyEverywhere, #AfricaLeads. At a UN climate summit, world leaders point to the Infinity One as proof that humanity can decouple progress from pollution. Back in Africa, the inventors release a bold statement. We will license this technology to anyone who promises to keep it affordable and accessible. No monopolies. No greed. The future must belong to everyone. Elon replies in a post. Respect. That's the way. Months pass. Production ramps up. Ships loaded with Infinity Ones leave African ports bound for Europe, America, Asia. Waiting lists grow into the millions. And yet the inventors remain focused on what's next. An engineer teases reporters, Infinity One was just the seed. Wait till you see the tree. Soon, rumors emerge of a city powered entirely by the same energy. Streets lit without a grid. Homes cooled and heated without bills. Water purified using nothing but the ambient energy around it. They call it Infinity City. And still, the car keeps going. Across deserts, through jungles, over frozen plains. Past doubt, past cynicism, past fear. It becomes more than a car. It becomes a symbol of what happens when humanity stops waiting for permission and starts building the impossible. And somewhere, late at night, the inventors stand on a hilltop, watching the lights of Infinity City glow in the distance. One of them whispers, "We're just getting started." The Infinity One glides by, quiet and unstoppable, into the future. And still, it keeps going. And going. And going. Weeks turn into months. The Infinity One becomes a common sight in cities and villages across Africa. Silent convoys of these self-powered vehicles roll into places where no gas station, no grid, no infrastructure had ever reached. But as the cars spread, so do the stakes. In the boardrooms of oil companies, panic sets in. Billions of dollars are at risk. Executives whisper about ways to stop the spread of infinity technology lawsuits, smear campaigns, even sabotage. A leaked memo from a major oil conglomerate reads, "If this is allowed to scale, our industry is finished within the decade." But it's too late. People have seen the future, and they refuse to go back. In Geneva, at the UN Climate Summit, the Infinity team takes the stage. The lead inventor holds up a small, flat sheet, the black leaf. The crowd leans in. "This," he says, "is more than a material. It is a promise that the energy you need is already around you. You just have to learn how to catch it." Applause thunders through the chamber. Outside, in the plaza, hundreds of Infinity Ones are parked in neat rows. Children play between them. Reporters swarm. A hologram display shows the next step, Infinity City. Infinity City is more than an idea, it's already under construction. On a stretch of land by the ocean, vast crews work day and night, erecting buildings clad in black leaf panels. Roads glow faintly with embedded energy converters. Trees are planted in neat rows, watered by systems powered entirely by ambient energy. A journalist reports, "It feels like stepping 50 years into the future, but it's happening now, and it's happening here." Elon Musk visits again. This time, he brings engineers from Tesla and SpaceX. They spend hours touring Infinity City, scribbling notes, taking readings. At a private meeting afterward, he reportedly tells the Infinity team, "You've done something incredible. Let's see if we can take it off-world." The room falls silent. "Mars," he continues. "We've always worried about how to power settlements there. If Blackleaf works, it changes everything. Not just Earth. The whole solar system." The Infinity team exchanges glances. One of them smiles faintly and replies, "We were hoping you'd say that." And so begins Project Horizon. A collaboration between SpaceX and the Infinity engineers to adapt black leaf technology for space. At Cape Canaveral, modified Infinity-powered rovers are tested on simulated Martian terrain. They climb rocky slopes effortlessly, power their own communication systems, and never stop moving. At the same time, governments begin to take sides. Some embrace the technology. Countries like Norway, Costa Rica, and Kenya announce plans to fully transition to infinity-based grids within 10 years. Others resist. Oil-rich nations lobby furiously to delay adoption, claiming the tech is unproven and dangerous. Protests erupt in major cities, people demanding access to infinity power now. Meanwhile, on the streets of Lagos, an elderly taxi driver grins as he guides his Infinity One through rush hour traffic. "I don't care what politicians say," he tells a reporter. "This car feeds my family. That's all I need to know." But not everyone is happy. An investigative journalist uncovers evidence of sabotage attempts, Infinity factories targeted, shipments intercepted, engineers threatened. The inventors tighten security. But they don't stop. Construction on Infinity City accelerates. The first residents move in: doctors, teachers, farmers, and families who applied to live in a place where everything runs on free, limitless energy. At night, the city glows softly against the dark ocean, a shimmering promise of what the future could look like. In orbit, astronauts test a small infinity-powered satellite. Unlike traditional satellites, it doesn't rely on solar panels and can operate even in shadow. It's like magic, one astronaut radios back. Except it's real. And yet, the inventors insist this is just the beginning. At a rare interview, one of them says, "We haven't yet unlocked the full potential. What you've seen so far is only a fraction of what Black Leaf can do." Speculation runs wild. Some claim Black Leaf could even heal ecosystems, converting wasted heat and radiation into usable energy, cooling the planet and restoring balance. Others whisper about more radical projects: infinity-powered artificial gravity, or even interstellar probes that could travel forever without refueling. The Infinity One keeps rolling. Infinity City keeps growing. Project Horizon prepares for its first test on Mars. And people everywhere begin to dream again. In classrooms, children write essays titled, "When I grow up, I will build an infinity ship." In boardrooms, executives scramble to pivot their entire companies toward an infinity-powered future. On the streets, people no longer talk about range anxiety or rising gas prices, they talk about what's next. And still, the Infinity One keeps going. Across continents, across oceans, across the boundaries of what we thought possible. And somewhere, perhaps in a quiet workshop, or perhaps on a launch pad under the stars, the inventors look at each other and nod. "Let's keep going," one of them says. And they do. The Infinity One hums softly as it glides forward, unstoppable, untiring, undimmed. And so does the dream. And so does the story. And it keeps going. And going. And going. And so, the Infinity One became more than just a car. It became a symbol. A symbol of resilience, proof that brilliance can rise from anywhere, even from places long overlooked. A symbol of hope, showing the world that clean, limitless energy isn't a fantasy, but a choice. A symbol of courage, because it takes courage to challenge the impossible, and even more to succeed. From the dusty backstreets of African towns to the polished highways of global capitals, the Infinity One kept moving. Through doubt. Through opposition. Through storms, both literal and political. It kept going. It carried with it the dreams of millions of children who now believed they too could invent, families who no longer feared the price of fuel, a planet that desperately needed a second chance. Elon Musk, once the undisputed pioneer of electric vehicles, now stood as a supporter, an ally in a larger movement that no one person could control. And the inventors? They never stopped working. Because the Infinity One was only the beginning. The Infinity City rose from the Earth, a beacon of what humanity could build when it chose progress over profit, cooperation over competition, and imagination over fear. And somewhere in the distance beyond the horizon, beyond the stars, awaited the next great challenge. A whisper of Mars. A glimpse of infinity. The world would never be the same. And as long as the Infinity One kept moving, as long as its wheels kept turning, as long as its quiet hum could still be heard in the streets and the skies, so too would humanity keep moving. Forward. Together. Unstoppable. And in the end, one simple truth remained. The dream never dies. And it keeps going. And going. And going. Forever. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more groundbreaking stories from around the world. The future is here, and it's just getting started. Stay tuned.